Hi, welcome back to 16th RC Tank Workshop. In the last video I was just finishing up on the Panzer IV and now I'm moving on to finishing up on the Bailey Bridge. So in this video I'm going to source some timber for the deck and fit it. Looking at the instructions, we have the plans for the wooden deck with the dimensions of the timbers required. Deck thickness 8mm. Plank width 37.5mm and an overall length of 678mm. You need to supply your own deck timbers. I've sourced some nice mahogany at the right thickness of 8mm, but my width is 45mm. The initial plan was to cut these down to 37.5mm, but I'm going to keep them at 45mm, reducing waste, time and cost. It's similar to the type of wood used in the first release of the Bailey Bridge kit. Using this nice quality timber adds significant cost to the project, hence my decision to reduce waste. Time will show how this timber stands up to the wear and tear. The plans show for small cutouts at either end to allow clearance for the screws retaining the ribbons, but I'm not going to make these cutouts. And here we can see one of the metal ribbons. The ribbons are supported by ribbon fillets, retained in place by screws passing through the cutouts. The screws pass through the fillets, through the ribbons, and then secure to the main structure. And here we see some of the fillets, and they fit in place, just like this. They're a tight fit, a little wiggle to get them into place. And then align the holes with the holes in the ribbons. Each of the main deck ribbons will have 6 of these fillets. So now I'll just pop the rest of the fillets into place. So 6 fillets in this main ribbon. Takes a bit of a squeeze to get them into location and lining up the holes. And that's the fillets in place. Here you can see the first deck in place, and you can see the screw retaining the deck to the main structure. It's a 16mm screw. Here we have one of the ramp sections to which I fitted the timbers. I'm happy that I've used mahogany rather than some cheaper timber. I don't know how it'll stand up to wear and tear of tanks driving across it, so only time will tell. Here are the other 3 sections of bridge, assembled. I never realised how big the bridge would be. It takes up quite a bit of space. The structure of the bridge is actually quite impressive. These sections here are called ribbands. They're part EN0114. The 16mm screws go through these and into the structure of the bridge, where they're held in place by a nut. These hold the timber sections in place. Here you can see the parts described as ribbon fillets, and they're kind of a support to the ribbons. I fitted the ribbon fillets to the main structure of the bridge. I don't seem to have enough to fit to the ramp sections. Almost from the very start with this kit, I've had problems with missing parts. So again, I think I'm missing some parts here. I'll show you one of the problems with this kit. The big problem I'm having with this kit is the instructions. There's a parts list. It lists all the parts you're supposed to have and the code numbers and the description, which is fine. The problem is it doesn't tell you how many of each part you should have. It would be much easier to carry out a proper inventory of parts if you actually knew how many parts you were supposed to have. The kit is made up of mainly small brackets and large numbers of these brackets. But unless you actually go through the pictures and count off what you're supposed to have, it's pretty difficult to keep track. The other problem is, I think these instructions might have been for the previous release of the bridge. Here you can see in the instructions, looking at the pictures, the ramp sections should have 6 ribbon supports on each side. The structure of the bridge doesn't have enough holes to fit so many brackets. It's only got enough holes for 4 each side. So again, these instructions don't seem to be correct. So far on this build, I've had one instance of a part that wasn't formed properly, and 2 instances so far where I've had the wrong quantity of parts. Again, if the instructions clearly showed in the inventory the number of each part, it would have been much easier to check this. Unfortunately now, I've come across the same problem again. Armortek have always been very good and immediately sent out replacement parts. They accepted the parts were missing and sent the replacement parts. The problem is I'm not in the UK, so although they're sending them out free of charge, I get customs charges in the form of VAT at the other end. And the problem is not really the small amount of VAT, which is just calculated, I think, on the postage rather than the value of the items, because I think they're put down as 0 value. The customs handling charges are much higher. I'll contact Armortek again and see how I get on. Hopefully they'll send me the replacement parts. That said, the Bridhe is a very impressive kit. It goes together well. It's really strong. I've already stood on it. Next thing will be to drive some tanks over it. So here we finally have the Bridhe outdoors. I'm keeping the 2 main sections and 1 ramp fitted while in storage in my shed, and the other ramp I'll fit now. To connect the parts, I have to join the ends and then fit pins. Another 2 pins here, and same on the other side. As you can hear, no sound module fitted to the Panzer IV. Budget doesn't allow this for the moment. My priority would be to get a motion pack fitted to the Early Tiger. I'll try to find a used motion and sound pack for the Early Tiger. Other owners may have changed their motion and sound to the latest brushless versions. There might be some used available packs. I hope in future videos to get some more drone footage of tanks driving. Today unfortunately I'm on my own, so it's a bit difficult to control both drone and tank together. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to support the channel by hitting the subscribe button and also the like button, and watch my other videos. Some of the other projects to work on: the Panzer III, it's at a very early stage, but I do have a motion pack and sound for this vehicle, so quite interested in getting another running vehicle. Here we have the early Tiger 1. I don't have motion for this vehicle. It's one of the reasons I haven't been too interested in finishing it. The detailing is virtually complete. The only thing I really need to work on is the FIFO air purifiers. I have some of the very old kit parts. They're white, mainly white metal. I don't know if I'll use these, modify them, or make my own. And of course the FTZ FK222 armoured car. It's a nice model. I have motion and sound for this model, but it requires quite a bit of work, and I'm also hoping to add a lot of interior detail. So lots of projects still to work on. Thanks for watching. See you again soon.